many of you may have just heard or seen, if you haven't, I apologise. LeVar Burton unfortunately cannot do his talk today because he's suffering from laryngitis. He is still here, he's still signing, he's still taking photos, but he's not able to talk. And although he suggested he would do this panel answering my questions in the form of interpretive dance, he honestly couldn't do it. So what we've managed to do is we've got you an amazing panel today of engineers, both real and fictional. Obviously, please be aware, they've only had about 10 minutes knowledge they're doing this panel, as have I. I have a large amount of questions for LeVar Burton. They're all pointless now. But we're going to do what we can, we're going to do our best. We are going to have a Q&A, and obviously if you have questions for the guests, we have a man with waving his hand there, he'll be running around with a microphone. We will also answer any question you have for LeVar Burton. Whether it's true or not, we don't know. So first off, I'm going to bring on the real engineers, so we have these, because I've got lots of posh-sounding titles here. So from ESA, please welcome Spacecraft Operations Engineer for the Mars Express, which means basically his data is flying a rocket around Mars, Simon Wood, and the International Space Station Operations Engineer, Andrew Boyd. And if you're going to have engineers, you've got to have engineers. So please welcome to the stage, from Enterprise and Discovery, Colin Chenier.
You don't have Tig Notaro, though. Tig Notaro is really now, more than a Jew, but yes.
So, I could start doing all the LeVar Burton questions, but I don't think you really want to talk about reading Rainbow and Roots. So, okay. So first off, let's don't go through that. So first off, I'm going to go to Anthony and to Connor. As actors, you came on board Star Trek, the various incarnations of it. And of all the actors who get to say their cool-sounding words, you are the ones who have to learn the long, confusing, multi-syllable things. First time you've ever had to sit and read one of those out, how did you manage it?
One of the first times was, one of the big ones was, I think, episode 4 or 5, where it was literally like 3 pages of monologue of trying to figure out how we, like, the tardigrade does what it does. And I really, it was like hours and hours and hours, but it's kind of like Shakespeare, in a way. It's not the way I would talk, but you kind of have to get inside it. But yeah, it's grounded in some science, I think, but they would know better.
Oh, we'll be getting to that in a bit. Shrug their shoulders.
Say nothing. My understanding is in some ways that when they were writing for LeVar, like literally they would just really make up, they would just say things that are nonsense. I don't know what it was like for you, like if it was nonsense or not, but at least for us, we're trying to ground it in some science. So I can look some things up and that's helpful, but it still is like being shot out of a cannon. But then it kind of becomes like jazz too. It's like, yeah, like just get inside.
Yeah, I think we benefited from LeVar having to say gobbledygook, and they kind of got a manual. The Akutas were a big part of that, and I had to have the Akutas come down and explain it to me, because without having, again, knowing where A goes to B, goes to C, I was lost. And they came down and showed me exactly how it worked, and then they opened up the coil and showed me that it's actually a wooden disc with colored lights and reflecting aluminum foil to prove that it didn't in fact work.
But you know the secret to making anything work in space, right?
Tinfoil?
Turn it off and on again.
Get it? Do you get it? No, we call it power cycle.
Power cycle.
You cycle the power from on to off to back on again. It sounds a lot more impressive.
So in your episodes, a lot of the time you guys were kind of restricted to a particular area while a lot of the bridge crew went off and had fun and adventures and all the exciting stuff. I mean, is there anything that you, I mean, especially with you, Connor, because obviously Enterprise went round its course, is there anything that you really wished that Trek had done? One of those things where you feel, I could have done that way better.
You get to go on away missions very much?
Yeah, we did. I could have done that way better. Let me think. Flown the ship. Actually flown it. They did one time, though, in engineering. Here's the thing that bothered me about our shows, because when you're in engineering, you get to avoid days when you're on the bridge. Well, for some reason, I showed up one day to give some information, and they said, "Why don't you stick around? Why don't you stand right there?" I didn't have a chair, I didn't have anything to do, but I had to be there on bridge days, just standing there. I couldn't avoid that work, and I didn't hardly say anything on the bridge. It was awful.
That's the one thing about the bridge, is certainly on our show, I don't know, is we have so many people that they have to do so much coverage, so like a 2-page scene could take all day.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about the bridge. So in a way, when I'm in the engineering, you could do 3 scenes in a day with like 5 people in them and get a lot more done. So that's the one, at least like, I get to move through it more quickly.
And one thing more for you, Anthony, is with the current Discovery bridge, a lot of it is a lot of CGI. And how?
No, only looking out of the view screen is CGI. Everything else is real.
The big screens and things.
All the screens, like if the people who are sitting at their panels or their consoles, those screens are real. The only thing that's CGI on the bridge is when they're looking at the front.
In engineering.
No, in engineering, all that's real. Everything is real in
I just
engineering.
assume you spend lots of time looking at a man with a small stick going aim here.
Oh yeah. We're really lucky of how much is practical. Only when you're looking out the view screen, occasionally, like when the tardigrade was inside the spore drive, that tardigrade was not real.
Wait, what?
Yeah. But everything else is real. It's like, even our little screens that, like on our pads, they're animated, they're real, we get to touch them, and they get to respond sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Our buttons didn't even push down.
Also, I think most of our effects are actually practical, we should point that out.
So what's interesting is when I'm talking to you guys about the scientific stuff and engineering stuff, Simon has no poker face. And there was elements where he's looking at this thinking, I fly a ship around Mars and I'm not allowed to do the things you're doing. So I've got to ask our 2 real engineers, as Star Trek fans and having seen all the things that engineering is doing, how realistic is Star Trek engineering to your engineering?
We're here, by the way, on stage here.
Well, I mean, you get the situation where stuff's going wrong, and somebody pipes up going, oh, we think we can fix this if we reroute power through main engineering or something like that. And at no point do we hear any of the normal engineers go, do we have a procedure for that? Is that written down anywhere? There does seem to be a distinct lack of admin in Star Trek engineering.
Yeah, we envy you guys on your lack of paperwork. But in general though, I mean the techno bubble and everything, it's okay. It's like Tig said, we can fix any engineering analogy with duct tape.
Yes. Duct tape.
What is the Star Trek equivalent of duct tape? Is there one?
Duct tape will last through the centuries, man.
We once had a hole in the real International Space Station, and I'm a little bit sad to say we couldn't fix it with duct tape, but we did fix it with a really similar tape as well. So first of all, one of the astronauts kind of poked the hole with his finger to stop the leak, and then we put tape.
Wait, whoa. Hang on. You just made that so like, oh, there was this leak on the space station, they almost all died, and he put his finger on it like a little Dutch boy. That's some gaffer tape. This is a daily occurrence?
No, it's only happened once, but it was fairly
That they
entertaining.
told you about? Definitely going, oh God, we can't tell her there's paperwork.
Well, there is that one astronaut that we've kind of just left him in the module just because he has to, plug the leak, so.
I don't know if I want to ask these guys any more questions because they're now terrifying me about the future of space. So, what has Star Trek got right? What do you think the engineering side in the future, from where you're going now, what do you think Star Trek has got right?
Well, there's definitely there's machines on the ship that will make tea and coffee. That's which, I mean, the thing is, you look at the sorts of fuel and stuff that's on board something like Mars Express. It's monomethyl hydrazine, nitrogen tetroxide, but actually, the main fuel that runs these things is tea and coffee to keep the engineers in a position that we can fly it. So. I think we quite like the rapid headers that can make sandwiches at 2 o'clock in the morning. That would be quite good.
Yeah, that's it. And I think I'm going to follow up the coffee story. One of my favorite photo that Samantha Cristoforetti did when she was on the space station, she donned a Trek uniform, and the Dragon capsule was arriving, and she said, "There's coffee in that Dragon." And it was the most perfect thing, because you might not have known, but I'm half Italian firstly, but that's not what you might not have known. The Dragon capsule was actually delivering the first ever proper coffee to the space station. So until then, we've just had kind of American coffee. But we delivered the first ever proper Italian espresso machine for space on that Dragon that Samantha was pointing to.
But wait, you had the first proper coffee delivery into space, and to get it, you put on a Star Trek uniform.
Obviously. How else would you accept an espresso delivery?
I want to go back to the American coffee thing. Just for a second.
Coffee. Well, actually, we tried to get the Americans to drink the proper coffee. So proper, I mean like Italian-approved espresso maker, right? It was amazing. I taste tested the flight hardware before I went to space, so I'm going to verify it was amazing. So we tried to get the Americans to do it. We called up to one of the American astronauts, actually, Scott Kelly. So he's in space for a year drinking coffee. And we asked him to do a stock take on how many proper, coffee espresso modules were left. And he calls down, he's like, why? And Huntsville actually took this call. So we have 5 mission controls, and one's in Huntsville, Alabama. So imagine their accents, and forgive me for not doing it completely correctly. But they were asked, why do you need this count of how many coffee espresso things are left? And it was like, is this for me? Is it for future astronauts? And the Huntsville Mission Control said the most Alabama thing I've ever heard in my life. And he's like, well, it's for all y'all to use. And the guys...
All y'all is multiple y'all. Y'all is one person, all y'all is all y'all.
I needed I needed to get an English to English translation first when I started working with NASA for that. And Scott's like, well, I'm a regular guy. I like regular coffee, and I guess I'll leave it for future astronauts to use, because he was genuinely liked his Kroger, whatever that mixed stuff is that you guys have that's instant.
So far in this talk, you've not had LeVar Burton, which is sad, but at the same time we've learned that learning engineering speech is like jazz. The ISS has almost died on multiple occasions apart from gaffer tape, and there's a very large amount of coffee elitism in space. I think at that point, I think I might open it up for questions, but I'm terrified to see what Issa's going to say. If you've got a question, we've got a person already. Okay. Now, what I will say is we're getting a very large echo here, so speak slowly and clearly and loudly. Not that slowly.
It's a double question for the engineers from space and the engineers from Star Trek.
I'm an engineer from space too, man.
There's the technicality you've got to be careful of here.
European space and Federation space.
Cool.
I'm a train driver, so I know what transferable skills have I got to fly European spaceships and maybe Federation ones.
Did you get the question? Could you hear that? Yeah, he's a train driver and he wants to know, first off, can he fly a Federation starship as a train driver? And secondly, can he fly a real spaceship as a train driver?
Well, I think again it comes back to sort of jokingly says, you know, is there a procedure for that? And that really is very much what we do. Whenever we don't just blindly send commands, as I'm sure as a train driver, you're not just sitting there pressing random buttons. You have right, okay, apparently you are. Okay, fine. You'll have to tell me which train you're driving, so I'm getting one later. But yeah, so you will have a whole sort of series of documents, I presume, that basically tell you how to operate the system and what to do if this light comes on. And we basically have it's essentially the same thing. It's if we get an alarm from the spacecraft, we will go and have a look at where's that come from. Okay, do we have a procedure specifically to deal with that alarm? Don't, then that would suggest that this is something new that we haven't encountered before, and then quite like Star Trek, we then go and have a big meeting. So we all sit down and the flip chart comes out, and we'll work through what information do we have, how do we is there anything, have we seen something similar before? And again, we will effectively then devise a new procedure with which we can then attempt to correct what's happened. So I think certainly from operating something as complex as a train, you would probably recognise sort of the sorts of procedures that we have. And so you may well be able to be a spacecraft controller.
And in the Star Trek world?
Well, jumping on the spore drive, there's no inertia. So in the train, inertia is a major thing. You can't slow down. But we don't have to worry about that. Just jump, get there. That's one difference.
I think we've shattered enough of your suspension of disbelief for an afternoon, so I'm not going to answer that question.
Next question. We have one over there, and then we've got some over on this side as well. So, yep.
Hello, my question is for Connor. Thanks for being here. I loved Enterprise. You did a few episodes where it was a mirror darkly. Would you have preferred your character for Enterprise to have been a mirror darkly Trip, or did you like that?
Did you like Good Trip or Evil Trip?
I hated those episodes. I did, and this is why. It's my fault. So, some of you might have heard this already. I walked on to the set that day, and I saw Jolene in her, cut off little shirt and her hair all punk rocky, and they put on Captain Pike's scar on my face. So I kind of felt like a pirate. I walked on set, and it was supposed to be, alternate universe, bad trip. So I kind of did it in the first take, and our director, Jim Conway, said, okay, Connor, you gotta go like a lot further in this. And I was like, you mean like a pirate? Joking. And he goes, yeah, give it a shot. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it like a pirate. Cut, print, moving on. No, I was joking. Jim, I was joking. He was like, no, it's great, awesome, this is how you're doing it. 3 more weeks. And so all I can see when I'm watching these episodes, when I'm seeing them, is like, Connor, you're even a bad pirate. So I have to let those 2 episodes live on their own. But if you need a pirate captain on the show, I'm your guy. Over there, yes.
Hello. LeVar Burton recently had a park named after him. If any of the panel wanted a place or a monument named after themselves, where would it be and why?
Did you say a part?
He had a park.
A park?
No, not a part. There's no part of the body named after LeVar.
Well, get to LeVar out here and we'll fix it.
Do any of you have, he had a park named after him, so obviously scientists as well. What would you have named after you and why?
Maybe, yes, like a like a young actors training facility of some sort. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I'd like to have a bicycle named after you. You gotta ride the Connor. What do you got there? It's a Connor. How's it go? It's pretty good. 12 speeds.
That's just great. A 12-speed Connor. That's just right?
I reckon it's got to be a theme park. Life's too short, have fun, and roller coasters double as astronaut training.
Maybe a biscuit or something like that.
A biscuit. So we got an acting school, a bike, and a biscuit. Okay, that's cool. Yes.
Hi guys, thanks for being here. It's a question for all of you. There's a large fault that goes through many of the sagas in Star Trek, and that is, what the heck are we going to do about the inertial dampers? They're so unreliable. What can be done? What do you think can be done?
How does an inertial dampener work?
Yeah, what is the real life equivalent?
I would suggest power cycling. I think we need to turn them off and back on again.
Turning it off, turning it on.
If you want gravity, if you were to really try to have any kind of gravity on a ship, you'd have to have some kind of centrifuge situation, right?
Yeah. And it's, I think one of the issues is that to get something equivalent to sort of what you would get on Earth, it's got to be quite big. And also, I think one of the suggestions is that you wouldn't want windows on the outside because you wouldn't want to see that you're rotating.
Just spinning, you'd be spinning and you'd get sick all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the one thing, like, that's never going to happen, is it? That you can walk around a ship with your, you know...
I think there is an experiment that's going up on... Is there something going to the ISS today? I thought there was...
There's an experiment. No, shut up.
You get this interplanetary spacecraft, and it does genuinely come with a user manual. Yeah, it's about it fills up about 4 cupboards, but we do actually have a spacecraft user manual for Mars Express, which we occasionally have to we do things are going bad when you have to read the instructions.
Is it like an IKEA manual where you've got a little spaceman with an Allen key, and every picture is like what happens when the thing explodes?
It's not far off that. No.
And there's and one screw left over that you're sure is going to go in there, but it actually doesn't. It's meant to be one screw left over. And you get like the IKEA pack where you get the Allen key, the much gaffer tape for the holes.
Yes, yeah, you can fix everything with that, absolutely. And also, the missing parts thing, that's no joke. Because if that happens to us with the astronauts in the space station, and they're like, oh, there was supposed to be one extra, fastener or something, we're like, well, guys, treasure hunt, see if you can find it in the module, because if you lose something, it floats off. And
what happens when you have one extra at the end, and you're like,
put it into storage, it's okay. One less is a bit more of a worry. Then we have to put up we have these things, they're called wanted posters. So they look just like a wanted Old West poster, and we put wanted poster with the picture of the part that we're looking for, and we stick it around the space station for a few days in case they can find it.
You are genuinely making me terrified for the people in space.
We're extremely professional, but we also have fun.
Right at the back.
Hello, I like the idea that we're kind of approaching this within the IKEA sort of thing, where we're missing a part. But anyway, a question for the real engineers. How much does the concepts in sci-fi influence the science and engineering in space?
And I'm going to add to that, how much does the concepts in science fiction annoy the hell out of you?
Well, firstly, the International Space Station is the closest thing that we have to Starfleet, so that's actually extremely accurate, no joking at all. Because, we've got us in Europe, we're, 30-something countries that don't necessarily like each other and we work together, plus America, plus Russia, plus Japan, plus a few others thrown in. We had the first Emirates astronaut 2 weeks ago.
Plus a few others thrown in.
Officially, it's the core team, but then we've got a few other special guests that we
special guest stars.
Yeah, special guest stars. They're cool. So yeah, it's the closest thing to Starfleet because we all talk to each other. We all speak the same 2 languages. We're only allowed to speak English or Russian, and we've got a live universal translator that goes between the two. So if you don't understand one or the other, you push a button and you get a live technobabble translation in your ear. I mean, those guys are amazing, completely amazing. I don't know how they do it in real time like that.
So Chekhov would have been right at home there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Gibson.
But also we have impulse drive does actually technically exist. We have ion propulsion now, and we tested it first with a mission to the moon called Smart 1. And we have our current mission that's going to Mercury is running on ion propulsion, and it will take about 6 years to get there. And yeah, it's sort of to slightly sort of cross sci-fi genres. We keep pointing out to our communications team that it actually has 2 ion engines on there, so it is technically a twin ion engine spacecraft. So yeah.
One question I've always wondered, on the International Space Station, do they have like the Oculus Rift or any kind of VR stuff? Do they have their own kind of holodeck?
We do have Oculus Rift, yes, and a couple of other VR kits, but we don't let them use them for fun yet. So we make them do science experiments and tests and medical assessments using the VR kits at the moment, but they don't get to have fun with it. I told them they should uplink, Beat Saber or something, and they could try that on the space station, but no joy so far. However, they have a really good entertainment set, so they work all the time, I have to say. They do 12-hour work days, and they only get 1 day off per week. But they've got a very nice window to look out of, so Earth is a very nice thing to look at in general. And then they I don't know, bring up other things to keep themselves entertained. We just got pretty good internet. We upgraded the internet speed so they can,
No more dial-up?
No more, it was genuine dial-up. Do you know, until about, I won't say when, because it's kind of recent, it was about dial-up speed because we had to securely get them internet without, compromising the LAN of the station. We got them to go to a remote computer in Johnson Space Center in Houston, so they were logging onto the remote desktop and then using the internet from there. And it was a solid 56k modem speed for a while.
Again, still mildly terrified when information is needed. We need to know what this looks like.
Wait, no. All the procedures are on a super high speed, instantaneous LAN, but that's completely separate to the internet, which is a bit of a fun distraction.
Yes.
Hi, so my question is for Anthony. I loved you in Ren. If you were to do a musical number, who else would be on it? In it?
You mean in Discovery?
In Discovery, yeah.
Wilson sings. We did Ren together actually briefly. He was the original Angel's replacement on Broadway. He did the tour, and then my last couple weeks of doing the show in New York, we did the show together for like 2 or 3 weeks. So he would for sure. Siniqua can sing kinda. Like she goes for it, so she could be part of that. I think Doug sings. So, and Mary sings. I mean, so we could have a lot of us for sure. I don't know if Tig sings, but she plays drums a little bit, so maybe she could be part of it. Yeah, so we would have some fun.
Yes.
And Michelle Yeoh was a trained ballerina, so she could do a little dancing. Or I don't know if she's a ballerina, but she's a trained dancer from even before she did her martial arts stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, Harry, SA engineers, has he been inspired to become such because of Star Trek? Now, Federation engineers, has the thought now occurred to you because of Star Trek, actually, I want to go up there and do it myself?
Definitely yes for me. So I grew up watching B'Elanna Torres. So I saw I was a pint-sized brunette and I saw B'Elanna making everything electrical and mechanical work in space. And I became a mechatronic engineer, which is literally mechanical and electronic together, and I make stuff work in space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at my colleagues over the operations centre in Darmstadt, and it's just many people over there have been either inspired by Star Trek or sci-fi in general. It's kind of it's what usually sparks your interest initially in this subject.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't tend to get motion sickness too much, but I wonder if I would get space sick, because apparently that can really be a bad thing.
If it makes you feel better, everybody gets space sick though, because everybody gets space sick.
I was reading a book the other day where there was an astronaut experiencing space sick. It's true, nausea. If you're really nauseous for a long time, there's nothing, you want to die.
It's true, but it goes away after a couple of days, because the thing is, to feel nauseous, or to feel not nauseous, you need 3 things, right? So you need to have, the fluid in your ears needs to be stable, you need to be able to see some sort of horizon, and you need a point of contact. So you go to space, suddenly you've got none of those 3. That's why on a roller coaster, you don't have a couple of them, but so temporary or whatever. In space, you've suddenly got none of them. Your brain's like, what's going on? So everyone feels instantly sick, but then your brain just goes, you know what? This is rubbish, and disregards all the signals, and you're fine again, and you're completely fine until you get back down to Earth again. And then, You will never see an astronaut that's just come back do any sudden head movements. You'll see them at the tea ceremony in Kazakhstan just after they land back on the rocket, and they're all like this, very much robotic movements, making sure that they don't, upset their neurovestibular system.
But getting past that, yes, to be in space, to be able to look at the planets from afar, the way that we've seen these beautiful pictures, that would be incredible. To get to land on other planets and experience that would be amazing. Yes, in the dream, yes.
Yeah, until about 20 minutes ago, I was really excited about the possibility of doing that, and now I'm terrified. Duct tape, missing parts. And
if you feel sick for 3 days, you die.
But I did want to, so thank you.
We have one here at the front, yes?
Hello. I don't know whether this is going to be able to be answered or not, but I'll give it a crack. One of the many things I like about Enterprise, apart from Trek, is that it looks very much like the International Space Station from a design aspect. And I was wondering whether that was a conscious decision. Was there any contact with the ESA or NASA or anybody else to try and get that to look as realistic as possible within the techno bubble?
Yep. The real answer to that is that they designed it after a nuclear sub. That's a real thing. And the corridors and all that from a nuclear sub. That's why it was so cramped.
I noticed that there was interviews when Enterprise came out that they'd made a conscious effort to try and make it as close to what it would be as possible. So they tried to get away from the sliding doors and stuff like that. So I'd say they probably did have chats with people in NASA by that point. So.
Ours just looks cool.
Just awesome.
Right back on the left, yes?
Hi everyone. There's a question for the actors. When you were auditioning for your part, did you know you were going to be engineers before you auditioned? And if so, were you like, yeah, I'm going to be the engineer? Or were you like, oh, I'm going to be the engineer?
Well, when I auditioned for the engineer, I thought, and then I got the part, I thought, because we weren't given a script, we were just given sides, scenes to read. So all I had going for me was 2 or 3 scenes that I had learned, and that's the only, all it said was he's a good old Southern boy. Not even where he's from. So I thought, I'm Scotty. I'm going to work like 3 days a week, and I'm going to learn how to surf, and I'm going to live the Hollywood lifestyle. And then I opened up the script, and it turns out that I'm part of a triumvirate, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, well, you're going to work every day. So I was excited to be the engineer, and then I was actually more excited to be more involved. But there was a minute there where I was like, I'm going to hardly work and get paid.
For me, I actually didn't audition. It was offered to me, which was an incredible gift. But so I want to be very clear. I'm an astromycologist who runs the spore drive, but I'm not the engineer in the way that he is. So I was excited to get to this new kind of thing. That was especially cool. And then the other factor that was really cool was to be the first openly gay character. To know that was a big part of the story that I was going to tell, and to be a part of that breakthrough representation. So those were and then to be snarky was cool. To be snarky and a little sassy and smart.
We have time for one last question, so no pressure, but make it good.
Hi everyone. One of the wonderful things about Discovery is that it's much more diverse in the ability of their crew. For our real engineers here, will we see that diversity in real life, differently abled and people with disabilities in space?
I think so. I mean, and mission control as well. So the space industry is really diverse. People that work in it come from all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of nationalities and age groups and professions and everything, even Aussies. So it reached our side of the world. And I think if you were going into space, there are a lot of, we've done parabolic flights, for example, and we've done, with European Space Agency, we've done special sets of parabolic flights for people of different abilities, and that includes people that don't normally have use of their legs, for example, but when you're floating, you don't need them anyway, you propel yourself with your arms for everything. So they were actually more suited to being in space because they were much more adept at using their arms for nominal life anyway. So I think it's a very inclusive field, and we would definitely see more diversity like that in the future, and we definitely already have that now.
Excellent. And
I have to add a side note, we do a lot of work on the International Space Station. We run 200 experiments all the time. We've got 6 astronauts working 12-hour days, and we're very serious most of the time in mission control. And if you'd like to hear more about that, I'll give you a serious talk in about 20 minutes or so.
But in fairness, of those 6 astronauts, 5 are working and 1 is finger on a thing.
Somebody's got to do it.
And with that, guys, thank you so much for coming on board at the last minute. I hope you've enjoyed this panel. Please give a massive, massive round of applause.